All right, this time I will call the May meeting of the MSD of North Liberty School Board to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Slagle, if you could please read our vision, mission, core beliefs, and priorities.
Absolutely. Our vision at North Coast is we inspire all students to achieve their potential for learning and life in a safe and supportive environment. Our mission, we partner with our community to create a dynamic and innovative educational experience, empowering students to become educated, productive, and responsible citizens. Our core beliefs, we believe our community is vital to our educational success. Everyone is valued and treated with respect and always telling the truth. An educational opportunity for all, student-centered programs, challenging and inspiring learning in the pursuit of excellence through a strong sense of pride. Our high priorities, enhancing the student experience, investing in administrators and staff, fostering strong relationships among all, and maximizing resources.
All right, thank you. Do we have any specific good news?
We don't have anyone coming yet. We had a lot of winners with our BPA and our academic teams that, Mr. Schmidt's going to talk about later.
Okay. And we have no patrons' concerns tonight, so we will move on to the minutes, claim docket, and consent items. If you don't mind skimming through those.
Absolutely. We do have resignations here. We have Ms. Bender, our cafeteria worker, Ms. Korth, our cafeteria worker, Ms. Bowen, cafeteria worker, Ms. Zubinsky, resigning as a bus driver, Ms. Patton resigned girls basketball coach, Ms. Colley resigned as a part-time instructional aide. She'll continue her position in the preschool.
I think you might be on last.
Yeah, you're.
Oh, my last one? Thank you.
Thank you.
I was just
couldn't find
testing
it
Lois.
anywhere.
Thanks.
Yeah, you had me going.
Got one second. We have Ms. Vogel asking for an intermittent FMLA, Mrs. Deere, FMLA in August. Ms. Giles, a personal leave form for September. We have our resignations and retirements, Ms. Kester, a nurse at South Terrace. Mrs. Farrar, resigning as science teacher at the junior high. Mr. Seymour resigning as a boys basketball coach. We're looking to hire Jeff Embry as a social studies and strength and training teacher and head basketball coach for the high school. And Kyla Harris, a part-time custodian at South Terrace. She's currently in our cafeteria at the high school. She'll be doing both positions. And approve, we're asking the board that authorization to extend employment offers to applicants between board meetings during the summer months. We have overnight trips, Ms. McCutcheon, Mr. Wilson will be taking the senior class to Camp Carson. Ms. Kester is going to accompany 8 FFA students to Purdue in June. And our AD, Mr. Shanks, will take in members of the coaching staff and high school football team to Brown County in June as well. Band director, Mr. Walden, has asked request to approve for approval to use the high school facilities for band camps this summer. And we'll have the renewals here. The Sherpa does. Sherpa is the online system we have to put in tickets for technology. We have Magic School. That's an AI tool that we use. We're currently seeking a grant to pay for that usage again next year. We've had it this year. Approval, amendment to renew cost reimbursable plus fixed fee food service management company contract. So having OPA back for a second year. PM agreement with DeGraw Kimball that was in the packet. And you can see the cost there.
Just to clarify on the Magic School, then, is that approval only if it is grant funded?
Correct.
Looking for a motion to approve the consent items as presented.
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent items.
We need a second on that.
Just include the claim docket.
Claim docket is part of that, so if you're wanting the changes.
I'll change my motion to approve everything except for the consent items, or the claim document.
I will second that.
Everything but the claim document, okay.
Okay, Lindsay. I have a motion and a second to approve the consent items with the exception of the claim docket. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. So now we have to do something with the claim docket.
Can I add a discussion to the motion we just did?
At this point, you have to have a new motion.
Okay. No, that's fine. For the consent. I was gonna refer to the FFA trip chaperones.
Oh,
Just to say, moving forward, that I thought we should try to be more proactive in making sure we have a male and a female present and not just assuming for one group of people it's okay, not to, the other group must, so that we can just unanimously be, everybody has to have a male and female.
which is what our form
Yeah.
asks for, so,
And I think our policy states.
yeah. So, let's go back to this one then. On this specific one with the FFA, we have a female chaperone, and the male chaperone will be, they're using other school
Another school.
resources.
What will share with me is that we'll have FFA sponsors from other school districts will be there, and they work together to ensure that all students are covered.
I think it's just a necessity that you have a male and a female if you're going overnight. And I used to take girls' basketball to camp, and sometimes one time I got a grade school coach to go with me just so I could have a female there.
I'm writing a note that we need to revisit the best way to accommodate these trips when they are having difficulty.
Yeah.
Finding that, so we'll add that to the discussion then. Okay, thanks.
Maybe I should have said it sooner, sorry.
It's okay. We'll follow Robert's rules
Okay.
of order exactly anyway,
Yeah.
so. Okay,
You guys have done this so many years that you know what to do, I'm like,
all right, so we need to revisit the claims docket since it was not part of the original motion. So, looking for a motion on the claims docket.
Do we get a motion first, or we discuss it first?
We need a motion and a second and discussion.
I make a motion, we do the claims docket, is that right? We approve the claims docket, okay.
If you're wanting to amend anything that's in the claims docket, it needs to be part of this motion.
Be part of the motion. Okay, well then I think we need to take a hard look at a couple of the swimming costs that were in there. One, I think, is against what we approved as a board, and the other thing is against the school regulations or rules that we can do. And I just think that if we do that, if we approve it, we're breaking the law. I know I've spoken with a couple of you about that, but I think that's a concern. I think that's a concern that several of us might have.
Okay. So, clarify your motion. You're looking.
Okay, let me start over. I make a motion that we approve the claim docket excluding the 2 swimming claims, 1 for mileage, 1 for lane rental, and approve the rest of the docket and leave those out and discuss those separately. How's that sound?
That should work. Need a second on that.
I will second that motion.
Okay, on to discussion.
Discussion of the others or discussion of those 2 at this point now?
Discussion of your approval.
Discussion of your motion.
Okay.
Does anyone have anything?
So I do have a few questions that really just more, so I understand, that would be on what we're approving right now.
Yes.
Amazon, I forget what, Amazon Capital Services. So all of these entries in here that just say, spring supplies, et cetera. Because we don't see a breakdown, nor do I think I really want to see an itemized breakdown of every single thing. One, I guess, who has the ability to order through that account? And 2, I'm assuming someone is seeing everything that's being ordered and approving that before it's ordered.
So with the Amazon account, the teachers can put the order together, and it comes to the school secretary, the principal has to approve that.
Okay.
Then it comes to the central office where it's ordered.
Okay, so I can feel comfortable in
Yeah, there
saying,
is-
yeah, it's good that someone has laid eyes on what's being ordered.
Well, there are guidelines put in place on what can and cannot be ordered. And mainly it's things for the classrooms that would be consumed by students.
It doesn't look like my Amazon account was like, oh, yeah, that's good. It just shows up. Sorry, Ann. Nothing like calling your wife out in middle school with me.
Kids, right?
I'll hear about this
Right
tomorrow.
then. I do it to myself, so.
I had a question on the Best One tires. It says one of them is 8 tires and one of them is 4 tires. These were bus tires, I would
Yes.
assume.
We didn't purchase
And
tires.
I don't order bus tires a lot. It seems really expensive, but I'm guessing they're probably a lot more expensive than my truck tires. But
I kind of had the same feeling the first time I saw it and thought, but then we didn't order tires last year at all. So just remember that we are our 4th year of 13 buses. And so
Sure.
it'll be,
Yeah.
this is kind of the year that we're looking to buy tires.
Is the 4th year of the new buses? No.
It's our 4th
Third-
payment, it's our 3rd year having
year,
them.
okay.
Mhm.
I'm on my payments, Larry. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
okay.
Yeah.
and I didn't know if it, sometimes there was another one that was for something like that. Well, it was not just tires; it was some other things. along with
We
it.
had one of the expenses up, I don't know what last month's board. We had a bent rim, so with the bent rim and the tire, it was much more expensive than just a
Okay.
tire itself. But we do have some tires purchased that will be changing out over the summer.
Project Lead the Way. This is something I've heard of, but the item says Project Lead the Way supplies. Is it Project Lead the Way something that we
Project Lead the Way is,
facilitate?
it's a lot of our, all of our schools are STEM certified,
Mhm.
so Project Lead the Way is part of that certification. So technology, science. So yes, what if it was Project Lead the Way supplies, could be going to Mr. Ramon's room, could be going to science classrooms.
Gotcha.
We had our
Elementary.
presentation last month with what was going on in our Innovate classrooms.
And sorry, one more, last question. I've obviously never priced lawn care for the amount of stuff we have mowed. I'm assuming that was let out for competitive bids, because it's this amount per month, correct?
Mhm.
Roughly. I mean, I think once it was a little more than that, but. Okay.
Are we in the first year?
I see
of a
that number, I'm
2-year
like, wow,
contract?
for mowing grass, but
We're in the 2nd year of a 2-year contract.
Okay.
When do we do it again? Next fall?
I think we probably put it out for next, Larry, I don't know, I would put it out probably for next fall if it's a 2-year.
Yeah, I thought,
I think it was in the fall.
and this will be 2 years.
You might be, maybe it was the winter.
I was thinking February, but I could definitely be wrong on that.
It's just as long as it's before the
Yeah.
spring season, it
Yeah.
shouldn't matter.
has that always been a contract service
No.
item?
We used to
I
have
felt like
our
our custodians
employees.
used
Yeah,
to
they did.
do it. Okay, so I'm not imagining
No.
that.
No.
So I could have swore I saw Mr. Denny and Randy at South Terrace, back in the day, doing it. Okay.
We do have
That's
a
all
lot
the
of ground to cut.
There's a lot of grass.
And they seem to do a really, really
Yeah.
good job.
Yeah, I think it's improved on the looks of it, because we also do,
Fertilizer.
weed and fertilizer.
I think it was Sunday when I was driving, they were out there going 1,000 miles a minute trying to get stuff done. Well, I mean, not that, but I mean, they were
Yeah.
working full speed trying to get things done.
It's like those drivers at cars.
You haven't any mailboxes lately, so.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to approve the claim docket with the exception of the two items Larry noted. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Any opposed? Motion carries
Aye,
5-0. Okay, Larry, I'm gonna give you the floor back then.
Okay.
Are you wanting discussion on those items at this point?
I think we need to discuss, I mean, I've talked to a couple of people on that, and evidently paying mileage for a club sport is against our school policy. Is that right? And then, when we approved the, swim team as a club sport, we didn't approve any finances for it or anything, and I know the swim team is in the red or whatever as far as covering all of their expenses, and I don't know what the answer is to that, but I don't think that we can just come in and approve $6,000 after we said 2 years, 3 years ago, whatever it was, that we couldn't, we were not going to put any money in it, we were going just to approve it as a club sport, and I know that has to be paid, and I don't know what the proper way is of doing it, but I don't think this is a proper way.
Yeah, I share the same concerns. This is definitely not the proper way. The policy 6550, it definitely, we cannot pay mileage on this. This is one issue. The separate issue is the lane rental for operations fund. Meeting of February 2022, it was specifically explained that we would not fund this. We don't fund any of our club sports. It's pretty frustrating to see this come through here. I mean, I've heard mention of misappropriation of funds. I don't blame Mr. Slagle. These decisions, the 222 approval of the swim club was before you were here. You had no reason to look into that and know otherwise, but there are folks here who did know better. So this is pretty disappointing and frustrating to have to catch it like this.
Is the Deaconess Aquatic Center called YMCA?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am really in favor of the swim team, and I think they have progressed pretty good. And I've said before, and I've said in meetings before, I think we need to take a look at whether or not we can financially and add this and how much it's gonna be and how much we spent. I've even had discussions with Michelle on how much they spent and everything like that and what it costs. And I'm for that 100%, but I don't think we can pay these tickets, at least the way they are written right now.
Is there an opportunity to share anything? Because there's no malintent at all. I'll start with just the aquatic fee. Early in the year, we knew they were gonna double the price. We were paying $9 an hour per lane last year, and that went up to $15 an hour per lane this year, with going up to 16 in January. So we knew that was gonna be a much higher expense. So I started having conversations early to say, do we need to have less lanes? Do we need to practice less? Do we need to, to make sure that we were gonna meet those needs? And I believe, and so I had appropriate conversations with administration and, to say, this could be a problem. Should I cut where we need? And those conversations were, let's just move forward with the program and we'll handle it, on the other side. So that's what I did as a club coach. Did not necessarily mean for it to come across this way. So that's in no way, that's important to me, just that you guys this was not something meant to make it feel like there was a malintent, because absolutely we did not expect, anyone to cover that or change that. We could have made some changes to the program, and we didn't. And so the difference that we're asking for help with is $900. It's not $6,000. And so that's what we were unable to fundraise. And we could certainly, if for whatever reason that's not something that we feel like we want to support, that's up to you guys, and that's okay. That's okay. But it was important that it just was not a malintent or a trying to slide of any sort of.
I'm sorry, I don't have my computer in front of me. Did it show the night that you only want 900 on
No,
the paper?
So
I
the
don't
way
think that I saw that.
the bill is, the total rent fee was $6,000. I had conversations with treasurers, like, what's the best way? Do we write 3 checks? Because some of it was junior high bill, some of it was high school bill, and then asking for some support, from the school. Do we send 3 checks? Do we bill the ECA funds? And so we've decided the most efficient way was to go ahead and have the ECA funds pay central office, pay the district, and the district write 1 check. So that's why in the claim docket you see a $6,000 check, because the district is paying the total bill. But in the claim docket, you'll also see the credits from the ECA accounts.
So when I saw this, it threw some red flags for me, specifically because you were the one that presented this in 2022. So you knew that.
Which is
We
why I
can't
came
do
early
this.
and asked, hey, we're gonna have a problem.
So there needed to be something done on the front end, obviously. But in looking at that requisition form, you're not even emptying out your ECA account.
We had that conversation today.
I asked, it was an agreed upon, we had this conversation today and said, I said that from the beginning, we would empty it completely.
This is very disappointing. And the mileage thing is completely separate in that we specifically have a policy that forbids it.
And that's a miss on our part. Junior high was so totally different topic. Junior high club started this year. We said, okay, we can maybe we're going to do transportation, because we thought we'd have 5 kids. We had 17. And so I was able to drive the bus, but we still had overage. And so I had one of the club coaches, which yes, is my husband, drive. The parents were willing, we did that. Each parent paid $100 for their club fee. So I asked if I could help offset mileage from the parents. If it's wrong, we will return that money. That is not a problem at all. It was just simply trying to, and I wasn't thinking about it being a problem with the policy. I asked treasurers, how do a club pay this? Is this something I can pay? I tried to go through all the proper channels to ask if it was
So it
appropriate.
was a smaller bus that all of them couldn't fit on?
Yeah, I drove the small bus.
And they all wouldn't fit on that, so then.
And they
you
all
gotta take
couldn't,
another-
so we had 3 extras that we drove.
Which, per what we approved, the bus shouldn't have been used at all. But you said early on you knew this was going to be a problem, but you still chose to pay your coaches out of
I
your
did ask
ECA.
all those questions early on, and I asked before I paid coaches. I tried to make sure this was all done.
You're asking someone that didn't have the history of the policy that you presented or the vote that you presented. So I don't have anything else to add other than this is very frustrating.
I felt the parents were gonna provide transportation to and from practice.
That's what was approved.
And
For
high meets.
school.
Yeah, and see, we didn't do anything with junior high as far as that goes. I'm not sure.
We approved the club.
The club.
So So I guess the junior high could be part of the high school club.
And some of that could be my misunderstanding, because the high school has used the small buses too for meets, to get them to meets. And we've paid for that out of the club fees. And so I do apologize if I misunderstood. We have tried to pay absolutely everything for it, and we came up short here, $900 is the end of it. And
It's
it is
more than
completely-
$900 as the requisition form comes out.
After we had the conversation, it will be completely wiped clean. There will be no more money in the high school account. And that's the difference.
So
is
that,
the
that leaves
$900
that as 900.
$904.18.
So
And if I
after we
have to pay
caught
that
it, then we're down to
personally,
$900.
That's not.
This isn't an actionable item, it's just, it was up for discussion, so I guess we can move on unless anybody has anything else to add.
I'm with Larry in that I appreciate the sport of swim and however we can make it happen. I just want to do things by our policy, and I'm not sure what that answer is for getting this.
I know when it's approached or looked at, there's gonna be some people in the school that are opposed to it, and very opposed to it. And, you know, and I didn't even catch this looking at the claim docket until I had some discussions and stuff. And then when I did see it, I'm like Vince, that it disappoints me because I felt we were pretty clear on it, and I don't know, you know, without saying it any other way, Michelle, I felt you should know, you're the smartest person I know here at the school, that you should have been able to see that and say, hey, this isn't right, and maybe you did do that when you were having your discussions, but we hadn't heard anything about it.
So I do want to say that when I was going through an orientation, let me back up. I agree if we have a policy, that policy has to be followed. I've said before in other things about precedent, I would be concerned that if we're paying something for a club, that then we'd start to have a lot of clubs saying, well, we need this paid, we need that paid. So precedent and policy are important to me. I do want to say that when I was going through orientation, I had a comment made to me about swim and basically having something paid for. And this was not made by Michelle. I'm sorry, Dr. Walden. I should say Dr. Walden. And it kind of clicked in my mind, like, that's odd. I didn't think that the district paid for club stuff. So I 100% believe that a conversation had been had about the school paying for something. That being said, that conversation is separate from a policy. And if that conversation is against the policy, then I'm going to have to go with policy. But I want that to be said that I 100% believe that there was a conversation had about the district picking up some of that to help offset cost increases.
So as it stands now, the district is not paying for any of these because that was excluded from the claim docket, right?
We
Yes.
can't unless we're gonna
Yes.
change
Yes.
something.
And I just want to go back and make the comment, you know, if I see myself supporting, if it's brought before us to have a swim team of supporting it after looking at expenses and looking at what it's gonna cost and everything like that, and ways maybe we could decrease the cost or whatever. But, that's on down the line. That's if we're going, you know, to do that.
Well, the whole point of doing the club is as a trial run to see how this works. And it doesn't look to me like this is working out too well, at least with how it's currently being run.
Yeah.
But it's definitely worthy of discussion.
I don't know. I disagree with that last statement a little bit because we have to look at how many students are coming into that program and how we have grown the program and how much interest there is in it. And I agree with Larry. I think it's something we need to look at moving forward.
If you can trust the people that are running it to do it by the policy. I agree
It has
100%.
to be clearly by the policy and And if they're brought on as a sport, we need to decide when we do it, what's paid, what's not paid, what,
Would have to be all paid
yeah,
at that point, because it's not paid for, you can't pay to play. So at that point, the school is responsible, extracurricular
I'm
is responsible for it.
not sure if transportation would have to be covered that way, because I know a lot of other schools that don't. The Evansville schools don't have, cover any transportation to or from practices or meets in Evansville, do they?
I
Most
think
of
they
them are on
do.
campus. I don't know how that, they do have swim teams. I don't know how they get to the DAC.
But they don't have, no Evansville schools have swimming pools, do they?
No, they use the same facility.
Yeah, yes, yes.
So that's their home facility, so that would be,
And I don't think the schools furnish them transportation to
not to their home.
YMCA.
No, not to there.
I'd have to
They
find
do.
out.
To
They actually,
To practice?
some of them do.
They
Kind
do
of
run some
different.
bus routes, I know, around for after school, but I don't know.
Yeah, like some of the schools run some small buses to and from practice to help parents or whatever.
And
but
I don't,
everybody.
I'm not opposed to doing that, but that's something that we need to decide
Mhm.
when we decide to approve this, if we decide to approve it and that, and
It's really hard when we were just told how we have no money to approve anything.
Yeah.
And that we do need to pay attention to
Yeah.
every little thing that we're spending money on.
And I know the IHSAA is looking at adding boys volleyball and flag football for the girls. And I know a lot of schools up north, those things are picking up pretty rapidly. My grandkids go to a 1A school and they have boys volleyball this year.
My nephews are in
As an
Portland.
actual sport, yeah.
I think that discussion is at a different time, though.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yes, yes,
Future
absolutely.
time.
I'll agree with that.
How about we move on to new business?
Mhm.
All right, so we're looking to add advanced speech to high school. That will help us primarily with our seniors to get dual credit with the new entering Indiana College Corps.
Okay, looking for a motion to approve the advanced speech and communications course.
I'll make a motion to approve the new course.
A second.
Any discussion on this? All in favor?
Yes,
say
who would be teaching the class? I don't know.
I could have told you that before you
Jeff.
asked me.
Jeff's gonna teach, okay. I'm not
Kirkman was
sure,
doing the speech and-
I can't think of his name right now, the baseball coach that he was mentioned,
Kirkman, yeah, I think he was
one of them that
the
was
sponsor of
mentioned.
like the speech and debate team, but I don't know that he would be teaching that.
I am so much in favor of adding a speech class, an advanced speech class, because I think that more than anything, the little bit that I done in English in high school helped me prepare for college.
No, the teacher doing this right now will be taking extra classes to get this credential.
And we have to maintain the Indiana College Corps. That's a
Yeah.
huge benefit to all of our students, I think.
Is this part of it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
really?
All right, have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Dr. Wall.
We have the high school curriculum materials that were shared for board approval.
Looking for a motion to approve the curriculum materials costs as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the curriculum costs.
Need a second?
I'll second it.
On discussion, I have asked, I think, Ms. Bowers, you asked about personal, or the two courses, interpersonal, adult roles and
The
responsibility.
ones that seem like
and-
parents should.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we are gonna have, we're not gonna have curriculum to adopt for those, but we have asked that, because they're gonna kind of use lots of different resources, I think is what they're sharing with us at the high school, but have asked for a syllabus, so we will have that.
Thank you.
As soon as that's available, I'll bring that back to you guys.
Any other discussion? Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Dr. Wall.
Next up, we have a proposal from J&K Communications Incorporated to upgrade the repeater and all of the hardware that would be associated with the repeater at the Wadesville Fire Department. This is the repeater that we use to have all of our radio conversations for transportation.
For a motion to approve this radio repeater upgrade.
I'll make a motion, we approve the repeater upgrade.
Second.
I'll second it.
So we own the repeater that's at the fire department.
There's another, like, we own our repeater. We share an antenna tower at the fire department. And so our repeater is located there, but they also have their own.
Oh, okay, our repeater's not here, it's there.
It's at Wadesville Fire Department.
Yeah.
All the buses are connected to that, plus the bus garage, plus the schools and everybody.
Yes, all of our handheld radios,
Oh, yeah.
and everything that's on the bus, all the radios on the buses. We're having some trouble with some of our outlier areas being able to still stay connected to the buses. And so some of that could be using the handhelds at the school level because they don't have a real great distance with those. But our repeater is incredibly old and can no longer, like, you can't get parts for it anymore. It can't be serviced with new parts is what JK, I'm trying to talk like I intelligently know this, but he would be the one to tell us, which is why I have his write-up in there. Because he shared with us that there's no parts for it. You can't get to service it any longer. And so updating that repeater should extend our reach. And we may not necessarily need any updates on our radios.
So last month you had told us about a medical issue a kid had on a bus, and I know the driver was frustrated that he couldn't get anybody on the radio. Is this gonna fix that problem, or was that something else?
There was no radio try on that. That was all cellular.
Okay. It was my understanding it's an attempt on the radio first that didn't work. Okay. I misunderstood.
But yes, if that is our hope, where there are places in the area that a driver cannot get the bus garage over radio. And so then they pull over, secure the bus, and have to use a cellular phone to.
Has that been going on for a while?
Since I've been here, yeah.
So this would be a question that you won't have an answer to because I don't have a clue about it, and you just said that you're not
I'm
well versed on
trying,
this.
yeah.
I noticed looking through this breakdown that the labor is almost $10,000. And I have no idea what it takes to set up a repeater, the
I'm
antenna. I'm guessing he's
I'm
climbing the
assuming they
antenna.
gotta climb the tower, so.
And that very well may be the going rate. I just looked at, okay, the repeater is a couple $1,000s, but the labor's 10.
Yeah.
Is this the only price we?
It is the only price we have. I don't know where else. I got this company from the Wadesville Fire Department, because
This is who they use for their.
yes, we had not, been able to get a hold of anyone to service our, to help us get our, license renewed, our federal.
FCC.
Yeah,
FCC
license.
Okay.
And so who we used to use is no longer in business. I guess this is kind of a dying business. And so Wadesville put us on that. But I can certainly, if this is something you would rather me go get more quotes.
Is this
um,
everything that won't be used anymore? Ask the firefighter. You're at a fire station. I don't even know what repeaters are. Like, will
Just
this,
takes your radio
It's
signal.
what
radio
pushes the
signal.
signal and sends it out. Yeah.
will this
So
ever
when-
be something we don't use?
I don't think so.
I mean,
'cause
I
you're
know I
gonna-
don't want a bus driver grabbing their cell phone and talking.
Right.
I know I
Exactly.
don't want that.
And that's why you almost have to have radios, and then we gotta be able to cover the entire county or district.
Right.
with
Who
it.
all carries the radios on this end? Every bus has them, but who are they?
Each school, office has at least one. Usually there's one in the office and then the principal has one as well. I have one in here. You have one in your office. We have an old, what they call a base station, up front. We have a base station in the bus garage. We have a handheld radio at Wadesville daycare, so that we can radio them and let them know that we're about to be there. So they kind of, because it's a large pickup.
But this is their primary mode of communication, right?
Right.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And honestly, if it's who the volunteer fire department in Wadesville uses, I would feel fairly comfortable that they've done their due diligence with the funds that they have to not be using someone who's astronomically overpriced or anything. So, I saw that as I was looking through the breakdown. I thought, wow, that's a lot of labor. But I also don't know how tall that antenna is. If you're climbing up very high, that usually is a pretty high labor rate, so.
It's not enough money to make me climb.
You can't pay me that much to get me up there.
I'd probably do it, I'm gonna be honest. Give me a 5-point harness, I'll climb it for 10 grand.
All right,
We'll have
any
you paint
other-
the ceiling while you're at it in the gym.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you go there.
All right, any other discussion on this? I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Mr. Slavin.
All right, so as we're looking at the 26-27 calendar, I remember conversations I had with Ms. Bowers and you, Mr. Oakley, about just enjoying parent-teacher conferences. And so looking to make a change for next year and adding that to the calendar that was already adopted.
I appreciate that change. I really like that.
I do too. Looking for a motion to adapt the 25-26 academic calendar by adding parent-teacher conferences.
I'm gonna make a motion that we table it.
Now, this is just adding the
Just-
conferences
this is a
for next
selection.
year.
Adding the conferences? Okay, I'm in favor of that.
So you're making a motion.
I'm making a motion to
And casting
approve
your vote at the
adding,
same time.
yeah, adding the conferences.
Have a motion to make the changes to the 25-26 calendar. Need a second.
I'll second it.
Any discussion on this?
This is only
This is only,
elementary school. right?
25,
yeah,
26
they only
calendar.
change it to elementary. Yes.
And can I say, I appreciate the teachers that already hold conferences on their own time.
Yes.
Because there are several teachers that have done that year after year, and I appreciate them.
And I know one of the things that kind of led to going away from conferences, I know when I was teaching, we'd have conferences and you'd go down almost a total list. And the people that were in there are the ones that the teacher really didn't need to see.
Yeah.
I mean, they did because it helps reinforce things that they're doing and stuff like that, but it's not the ones that they needed to talk to, you know, and I'm sure that'll be the same thing, but I think a lot of people will appreciate having them though, and there are some that are really beneficial. I'm for it 100%.
Well, I know some, it looked like the comments on the surveys, some of those were, I don't feel like these are needed. And I can understand that as well, that in this day and age with there being so much more connectivity between the parents and the teachers via Harmony and Class Dojo and, texting and emails, that I guess I can kind of see that where
Nothing
when I was
beats
a
that
kid.
face to face.
I agree, and my vote's gonna be yes also, but
Yeah.
Any communication between
But I-
parent
I
and teachers
understand-
is.
I understand both sides of it.
And I did speak with a teacher who shared your same sentiment about the parents that need to be there don't come, but she said she makes an honest effort to call those parents
yeah.
and request them to come rather than, just, I'd
We
really
can't
like
force
you to
people
come
to do
in,
that.
yes.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
All right, wonder where this next one's gonna go. So we did send out 3 surveys to all staff members on calendars for the 26-27 school year. Those came back with option 1 being the highest voted on. The difference is usually between option 1 and then 2 and 3 2 and 3 started a week later. Option 1 started earlier in August, and option 1 also had a week in October for fall break, as we've had for several years now. Option 2 and 3 reduced the fall break by 2 or 3 days.
Do you think the fall break was a big thing that increased the vote for option 1?
Yes.
It would appear to be.
Seems like it.
Majority, I mean, I shared the comments with you all, and I
Yeah.
think they were in here as well, so.
It's
Yeah.
even more than the sum of the other two. As far as approval work.
So looking for a motion to approve the 26-27 academic calendar.
Look at me, okay. I'd like to make a motion that we table it and have the athletic director or the principal of the high school maybe send us a letter to tell us how this affects their sports for the fall, because since the calendar went out early today, I received multiple calls about people upset with it. So I just think it would make the most sense to maybe hear from that large cohort of people who say this really affects their fall sports. I personally had a kid in junior high cross country last year, and they did have fall break, and then PACs was that Saturday, so they were gonna practice all week. We couldn't do anything. I realize that doesn't affect a lot of elementary people, but it sounds like it affects a lot of the high schoolers, so.
And it'll affect volleyball, soccer, both soccers, football.
Even if it's just moving it,
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
which way, I don't know all the sports, but
Well, I will second that motion, because I think that's, when I was athletic director at New Harmony, we tried to make some changes, and I was major opposed to having time off during the seasons.
All right, so,
So is this not something that has to have a decision at this meeting?
I mean, it would, it doesn't,
When we
it's,
need to have that much. I mean, it's not for this coming year, so I'm saying,
Right.
there's a little bit of time.
No, I mean, if we table it till June and get our AD to write a letter, sharing the concerns with that,
and maybe we still do the same thing. I don't know, but it'll at least be
Mhm.
listening.
Did you
to
read all the
them.
comments, because they were addressed in there?
yeah, there were quite a few comments, plus an email that we got today, but
Mhm.
I think we have a motion to table this, get further info from the high school principal and or athletic director and other involved parties in a second. Any other discussion on it?
I don't think you have to vote on the table.
I just had a question on the teacher in-service days. It looked like one was early and one was real late, is that right?
One was, well, depending on which calendar,
It
I
just
was looking
pushed,
at calendar 1.
it just pushed the date, or the days from fall break to the beginning and the end of the school year.
Yeah, but I was just had questions
So
on the
calendar 1.
in-service days.
like the teacher first day, like
That's not-
August 5th, that would be a professional development day, because we do provide professional development for
But
teachers.
that's not a day the kids would be off, and we only have one day that they're actually doing,
E-learning.
E-learning, which would be September 16th.
okay. That's why I was checking on, it seemed like there were 3 days, but they weren't doing that with that, so, okay, those aren't actual part of the 180 days, or they are part of the 180?
They are.
They are, okay.
Then we get our 1003 waiver that allows us to have those days.
Instruction time.
Any other discussion? All in favor of tabling for further information, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Personnel.
All right, you were presented with proposed personnel list for each building for the 25-26 school year for your consideration.
I'll make a motion that we approve the personnel list.
I'll second.
Any discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
During the January ICE event that we had, we were given 2 waiver days from the state for that. So we're asking your permission to go ahead and, not have folks make that time up.
Need a motion to approve the 2 waiver days as presented.
I'll make a motion, we approve the waiver days.
Second,
Second.
discussion on this. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
All right, on professional leave, you have 2 there from our food service director going to OPA events, one to kind of close out the year, one to begin the year. And then you have 2 for me, one for a law seminar and one for budget and finance.
Need a motion to approve the professional leave.
I'll make a motion to approve the professional leave.
I'll second.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion
And you'll be
carries.
able to understand everything he was talking about.
Absolutely not.
Reports and information.
Mr. Schmidt, you want to start off there?
Yeah, this weekend we had our fine arts teams go up to the state competition. We had very good, our academic
Yeah,
teams.
yeah.
Is that what I said?
You said fine arts.
We knew it.
Sorry.
Yeah,
We had our,
well, I didn't know. for
so we had our fine arts, our social study, and our interdisciplinary team go up there. And our interdisciplinary team got to go up there because of the range of all of our teams, not just those. The math and all the teams did so well that they qualified our interdisciplinary team to go up there. We may not have qualified or medaled in any of the competitions, but I think the kids performed very well, and I'd like to give a congratulations to the coaches too that that spend all their time with these kids. So
I've been nothing but
and there's
impressed by how.
I'll miss one if I try to list it. So
Yeah,
I know Carrie Schmidt's the
ringleader.
ringleader, but the rest of them do an excellent job as well.
Yeah, and fine arts is one that's excelled for several
Yes.
years, I know that.
Yeah, and they did very well up there, but they did not place.
Yeah.
So
Put Dr. Vaughn on the spot and ask if she could share a BPA.
Sure. We took three students to Florida last week for BPA Nationals. Audrey Fisher came home with a first place win in legal proceedings. She knocked it out of the park. And she also got some certifications as well and took some open tests, and I don't remember the placements on all those. Jacob Hugh went on what they call a torch award and participated in the leadership panel or the leadership track, and also took some open tests. And I don't remember exactly how he placed, but he did well in those open tests as well. And then my daughter Michaela went as the state winner in interviewing skills, and she placed 5th in her section in interviewing skills, but they took the top 3 for callbacks, so she didn't place per se, but she did well in that too.
What was Audrey's category?
Legal proceedings.
Legal proceeding.
Yeah, so she had to take a test on legal proceedings, and then she had to develop, I think, one document. I might be getting that wrong, but one legal document. So she did really well.
Thank you. In February, you approved our technology E-rate. So just let you know that we did receive that. What that will do will save us 60% on things that we buy for internet safety, upgrading our server, router, things of that nature. With our bond renovation right now, you see that we do have the foundation board for our maintenance facility. The outdoor restrooms are just about complete. They got the new stalls, dividers in today. Still waiting on, they're always waiting on door frames. The junior high science rooms have been divided up, and the engineering, and all, those 2 rooms along with the engineering room, they're getting ready to put into the drop ceiling. Then we're also gonna get a It's gonna be an add-on, but the flooring in the engineering room, because of the work they've done, is different colors, so we're gonna end up putting like an epoxy down, probably with some type of fleck in it, so it'll be an add-on, but it'll be nice. With our Indiana School Board Association, we have a regional meeting on May 19th. Looks like a handful of us are going. I missed the free Monday night, no kids.
Yeah,
And
it's
then,
more work to be gone, you know? It really is.
And then we have our graduation coming up here at the end of May. Seems like it should be a month away, but it's not, it's this month.
The speed bump out there by where the maintenance building is, that they've got, I'm all in favor of making that a permanent speed bump. And not use the 2x4s or whatever it is, but I think it would be good to have one there because it would slow people down on the.
It's always great until it's snowplow goes through.
Yeah.
I know. I didn't think about that.
Does anyone else have anything to add?
Maybe the 2x4s work pretty good then.
We have time on graduation when we need to be there.
7 PM.
I'll get that for you, because we'll be out. We're planning on being outdoors this year. It's on there?
Yeah.
That's what time to start. Board members, okay.
And are we gonna wear suits or sports coats or?
Vince has got a handout too.
Greg will help me be.
I don't know. I got a handful right now.
Larry, we want to talk to you the other day, which is gonna be for the board suiting up like last year.
Would we wear some
We wore,
sport shirts or do we wear suits?
That has been adapted if it's gonna be ridiculously hot. I don't know.
yeah, we did the polos, but we all had the same polo.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm fine sweating through a suit.
Kind of see if I have a suit.
I'm hoping to be able to walk out there this year.
I
So
think
And
I
Paul's
do,
is shut down.
so.
Yeah,
Looking for a
Amazon.
motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion we adjourn.
I'll second.
We are adjourned.
Hold on. You did a good job, Secretary.
Oh, yeah.
You remembered.
Yeah. I remember today.
he only asked one question.
That might be the only thing that's right there.
Yeah, we're going camping. And so we were talking about, last year I drove Madeline back from Red Lake.